Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose. So we got a really strange update today that throws a wrench into a lot of the speculation as to why Wukong Black Myth got delayed for the Xbox Series. You know, this is a game that a lot of people have been very excited about since its original reveal years ago. It honestly looks like it could be a great game, and for such a long time, it was planned for a simultaneous release across PC, PlayStation, and for Xbox. So to see it get delayed for Xbox just months ahead of its release has been a big talking point these past few weeks, and that talking point just got a whole lot bigger after some new information surfaced online today. Now, it seems like this might not be an Xbox Series S problem at all, and I'll explain why here in just a second. Now, we will also talk about Elden Ring and Crash Bandicoot as well, because we got some pretty interesting news for those games. Do make sure to stay tuned for all of that. But yeah, let's just go and get right into this Wukong Black Myth drama. This all started early this month at the Summer Game Fest, where Xbox was surprisingly missing from the Wukong trailer. You know, again, up to this point, expectations were that it would be a simultaneous release on August 20th. So a lot of people were taken aback by this trailer and thought maybe it was just some kind of mistake. But no, it actually was not a mistake at all. The studio Game Science confirmed through an FAQ on their website that the Xbox version was in fact delayed and that they're currently optimizing it. You can see here where they said PC and PlayStation 5 users can enjoy the full game starting August 20th of 2024. We are currently optimizing the Xbox Series X and S version to meet our quality standards, so it won't release simultaneously with the other platforms. We apologize for the delay and aim to minimize the wait for Xbox users. We will announce the release date as soon as it meets our quality standards. So while they don't flat out say it here, obviously a lot of the speculation online blamed the Xbox Series S. This has really been the trend throughout the entire generation. When in doubt, blame the Series S. That's the easy thing to do. But I do have a slightly different take to all of this. We'll come back to that here in just a second. But first, thanks to Windows Central, we got an update for this story that goes against a lot of the speculation that we've seen online. Check this out. So Jess Corden said, I asked both Microsoft and Game Science to comment on the optimizations issue, seeking some clarity. Was the Xbox Series S to blame? Game Science didn't respond, but this morning, a Microsoft spokesperson offered the below comment. We're excited for the launch of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox Series X and S, and are working with Game Science to bring the game to our platforms. We can't comment on the deals made by our partners with other platform holders, but we remain focused on making Xbox the best platform for gamers, and great games are at the center of that. Jess Corden then continues on to say that I became aware of whispers and rumors while out in LA for the Xbox Showcase 2024 that despite the optimization assertions, Game Science had actually taken some form of exclusivity deal with PlayStation for Black Myth Wukong. Reading between the lines, Microsoft does seem to suggest that some form of third-party exclusivity deal may be in play, although it stops short of explicitly stating as such. So that is really interesting, and if this is actually true, this is either a very shady move by Sony to kind of hide this, or a masterclass, depending on how you want to look at it, because, you know, this isn't a simple timed exclusive deal. The way it's being laid out to the public kind of shines a negative light on Xbox, as if their console is the problem, and that's why it's getting delayed. So by not telling people that they might have some kind of partnership with Game Science, you know, that could also hurt Xbox's reputation on top of helping Sony with another timed exclusive. Again, you can either view that as a masterclass move by Sony or just flat out dirty. You know, that all depends on how you want to look at it. But all of this also depends on how definitive you view Microsoft's statement. That is something that's been up for discussion today. Do you believe this anonymous Microsoft spokesperson and what they're potentially suggesting here to Windows Central, or do you instead believe Game Science and that the delay is because of it's an optimization problem? I mean, one of the two is seemingly misleading the public, so which one do you want to believe? And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we get another update from one of the two. I'll keep you posted if we hear something more. But I do want to go and touch up on this Xbox Series S issue for a moment, because this is a topic that's been going on really throughout this entire generation. We saw it last year with Baldur's Gate 3 as well, which was kind of a unique situation because that was primarily linked to its cooperative split-screen mode. Thankfully, Xbox backtracked on the 100% parity and just let them go through with it. But just like last year, anytime something like this happens, there's always that conversation about how the Xbox Series S is a problem, and it's why things like this happen. At the end of the day, though, this is not a permanent exclusive, and by all indication, Game Science is still working on an Xbox version, and what that tells me is that they know, or they at least believe, that Wukong can run on the Xbox Series S, even if it takes them slightly more time to get it perfectly optimized, again, depending on who all you want to believe. So hypothetically, even if there's not a contract in place with Sony, which, sounds like there could be, depending on who you want to believe here, but I think there's another layer to the Xbox Series S conversation that most people don't really talk about, and it's really quite simple. It doesn't come down to capability. The Xbox Series S, and we've seen this, has held its own for the most part, but rather I think a lot of this comes down to priority. Let me just ask you, which platform do you think developers are prioritizing? Do you think that's the PlayStation 5? Or do you think it's the Xbox Series consoles? I'll tell you right now, from a business perspective, their priority would be for the PlayStation 5 because more people own it. It really is that simple. Now, Xbox is still important to maximize their potential, which is why so many developers support it, but if there's any kind of extra work to perfect the Xbox Series S and its optimization, especially for smaller teams that don't have unlimited resources, it's not because it's not a capable console like some people make it out to be online, but rather it's because it wasn't the platform that was prioritized throughout development. One way or the other, though, it does appear that Xbox will get Wukong eventually. But I will say that this update is definitely a strange twist to some of the speculation that we've seen online. So I want to hear from you all. Who do you believe in this situation? Do you believe Xbox or do you believe Game Science? Do you think Sony actually signed an exclusive deal for Wukong, as Xbox seems to be suggesting here, and that Sony is just keeping things under wraps? Or do you think it just needs extra optimization for the Xbox Series, like Game Science indicated? Let me hear your thoughts in the comments below. Now, speaking of Xbox, though, one of their new first-party games reached a crazy high milestone. It was just announced that the Crash Insane Trilogy sold 20 million units worldwide. You could almost say that's insane. It's honestly kind of crazy to think about, though, that Crash hasn't taken more priority under Activision after this type of success. The studio that worked on this game, Vicarious Visions, they were rewarded by being stripped of their name, and they've since been pushed to other projects. Then you have Toys for Bob, and after Crash Bandicoot 4, which was at least very well received, both critically and from fans alike, they were then shoehorned on a Call of Duty as a support team. Now, maybe Crash Bandicoot 4 didn't sell as well as the Insane Trilogy, but clearly, the Crash Bandicoot franchise still holds a lot of weight, even all of these years later. I mean, we're looking at Nintendo type of numbers here for a platformer. I mean, there's not really a lot of platformers out there that can go toe-to-toe with Mario's success in modern gaming. So this is a huge achievement, and thankfully Xbox seems to be investing into that future. Toys for Bob left Activision earlier this year and became independent, and they've already signed a contract with Microsoft to work together. Their next game is presumed to be Spyro 4, and I mean, who knows? Maybe Crash Bandicoot 5 down the line as well. I'd say, if anything, with these type of numbers, yeah, Xbox has every reason to invest into these franchises. Now, one last thing that I want to talk about here, though, is Elden Ring. The new expansion just released, and I imagine a lot of you are already playing it. That's going to be a great game to pick up and play this weekend. But as you may know, with every FromSoft game, there's always that conversation about an easy mode. Well, Elden Ring's Miyazaki was asked about that, and he said, if we really wanted the whole world to play the game, we could just crank the difficulty down more and more. But that wasn't the right approach. Had we taken that approach, I don't think the game would have done what it did, because the sense of achievement that players gain from overcoming these hurdles is such a fundamental part of the experience. Turning down difficulty would strip the game of that joy, which in my eyes would break the game itself. I absolutely love this statement, and he seems to understand what's really going on here. I've said this before, and I'll say this again. When a new FromSoft game releases, It's an experience for the entire community that plays the game. It's not just a solo journey simply because you're playing by yourself. It's a community effort, and you form new strategies together as you go along. The online experience is a huge part of their games, and even the messaging system in the game indicates that it is a group effort and that you're in some kind of shared world. That expands the online discussion as well. More so, not everything in the world is meant for everybody, and that seems to be what he is kind of indicating here. Everything that is created has a target audience, and FromSoft's target audience is clearly for fans who want these challenging type of games where everybody is on an even playing field. So FromSoft has stuck with this design philosophy, and over time they've gained more and more loyal fans to the point that Elden Ring is among the best-selling games this generation. So, I mean, they know what they're doing, and it sounds like they're going to stick with that mentality for the foreseeable future. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode. Again, do let me hear your thoughts about the entire Wukong situation. Who do you believe and who don't you? But until next time, peace out.